September 13th, 1942, 11:47 a.m., 2,000 meters above Stalingrad. Lidya Litvyak's Yak-1 fighter screams through broken clouds at 450 kilometers per hour. Oil streaks across her canopy. Her engine temperature gauge reads critical. Behind her, two Messerschmitt Bf-109s close the distance. 700 meters, 600, 500. She's 21 years old. She banks hard left. G-forces crush her into the seat. The world tilts 90 degrees. Through her rearview mirror, she watches tracer rounds slice past her. Wing. So close she can see individual bullets. One grazes her fuselage. Metal screams, her radio crackles. Male voices, her squadron leader. White Rose, break off, you're outnumbered. Return to base. She doesn't respond. Instead, she cuts throttle. Pulls back hard. The Yak-1 stands on its tail, bleeds speed, nearly stalls. The first Messerschmitt overshoots, exactly as she planned. For 3 seconds, he hangs there, fat and slow and perfect, directly in front of her guns. She fires. 8 7.262 meter rounds per second. Her UBS machine guns roar. The Messerschmitt's canopy shatters. Smoke pours from its engine. It spirals down, trailing black ribbons across the sky. Kill number 8. The second Messerschmitt is still behind her. Still firing. Still hunting. Lydia smiles. Because in 8 months, she'll have 12 confirmed kills, more than most male Soviet pilots will achieve in the entire war. She'll become the first woman to shoot down a German ace. She'll be awarded the Order of the Red Star and the Order of the Red Banner. The Nazis will put a bounty on her head, 100,000 Reichsmarks for the White Rose of Stalingrad. And then, at 21 years old, she'll disappear into the sky over Oral Oblast, never to be seen again. The Soviet Union will deny her existence. Her family will search for her for 30 years. And it will take 47 years, before the USSR finally admits that Lidya Litvyak was real, was brilliant, and was a hero. This is her story. Moscow, August 18th, 1921. Lidya Vladimirovna Litvyak was born into a working-class family in the Soviet capital. Her father worked as a railway clerk. Her mother managed a small shop. There was nothing in her childhood that suggested destiny. No prophecies, no signs, just an ordinary girl in an ordinary apartment in an extraordinary time. But Lydia was not ordinary. At age 14, she joined a flying club. In the Soviet Union of the 1930s, aviation was everything. The government promoted flying as a path to modernity, to progress, to the future. Thousands of young people, boys and girls alike, learned to fly gliders, then biplanes, then fighters. It was democratic. It was revolutionary. It was intoxicating. Lydia was a natural. By age 15, she had her first solo flight. By 16, she was instructing other students, teaching grown men how to handle a Polikarpov Po-2 biplane. She was tiny, just 1.52 meters tall, barely 45 kilograms, but she flew like she was born for it. Smooth, precise, fearless. She logged over 400 hours by the time she was 20. She became a flight instructor at the Kherson Military Aviation School. She bleached her hair blonde because, she said, it made her feel more confident, more visible, more herself. And then, on June 22nd, 1941, Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa, 3 million German soldiers, 3,000 aircraft, 3,000 tanks, the largest military invasion in human history. Within weeks, the Luftwaffe destroyed it. Over 4,000 Soviet planes, most on the ground. The Red Air Force was in ruins. The Soviet Union was desperate. October 8th, 1941. Moscow. Marina Raskova, the Soviet Union's most famous female aviator, sat across from Joseph Stalin himself. She had a proposal. 3 regiments of female combat pilots. Fighters, bombers, night bombers. All women, all volunteers. Stalin approved it the same day. Within weeks, thousands of Soviet women applied. Pilots, navigators, mechanics, ground crew. They came from universities, from factories, from collective farms. They were students and teachers and mothers and daughters. They ranged from 17 to 26 years old. Lidya Litvyak was among the first to volunteer. She lied about her flight hours, claimed to have 100 more than she actually did, because she knew they'd reject her otherwise. She passed every test, every physical, every interview. And in January 1942, she was assigned to the 586th Fighter Aviation Regiment, the all-female fighter. Regiment? They trained at Engels, a military base near Stalingrad. They flew Yak-1 fighters, single-seat, single-engine interceptors with a top speed of 600 km and 2 12.2 mm machine guns. The Yak-1 was fast, agile, and brutally unforgiving. Engine failures were common. Control systems were sensitive. One mistake and you died. Lydia mastered it in weeks, but the male officers didn't trust them. Women can't fight, they said. Women can't kill. The regiment was assigned to air. Defense, protecting Soviet cities from German bombers. safe, boring, away from the real war. Lidya hated it. So she did something unthinkable. She requested a transfer to a male combat squadron, frontline duty, real combat, the kind of missions where survival was measured in days, not months. Her request was denied, then denied again, then denied a third time. She kept requesting. Finally, in September 1942, she and her friend Katya Budanova were transferred to the 437th Fighter Aviation Regiment, a mixed unit, men and women, flying together, fighting together. The male pilots were furious. September 13th, 1942, 6:47 a.m., airfield near Stalingrad. Lidya's first combat sortie. The briefing was simple. Escort Ilyushin Il-2 ground attack aircraft over Stalingrad. Protect them from German fighters. Return alive. The male pilots didn't speak to her. They didn't look at her. They walked past her like she was invisible. One pilot, a veteran with 6 kills, spat on the ground when she climbed into her cockpit. Her Yak-1 had a white lily painted on the fuselage, her personal marking. Some sources say it was a rose, others say a lily. Either way, it was white, delicate, beautiful, and absolutely lethal. At 7:13 a.m., 3 Messerschmitt Bf 109s dropped out of the clouds. The Soviet formation scattered. Chaos. Screaming radios. Tracer fire everywhere. The Il-2s dove for the ground. Lidya stayed calm. She identified the lead Messerschmitt, a veteran ace, identifiable by the kill markings on his tail. She maneuvered behind him, closed to 200 meters, fired a 2-second burst. The Messerschmitt exploded. Her first kill. First mission. First day. When she landed, the male pilots were waiting. They measured the bullet holes in her plane, counted the empty shell casings, examined the gun camera footage. They wanted proof. They needed proof. They got it. That night, they invited her to drink with them. She declined. She was too busy preparing for tomorrow's mission. Over the next 10 months, Lidya flew 168 combat sorties. She engaged in 38 dogfights. She shot down 12 German aircraft. Some sources claim as many as 14 or 15. She destroyed 1 observation balloon. She shared credit for several more kills with other pilots. She was relentless. On March 22nd, 1943, she achieved something extraordinary. She shot down a German ace. His name was Erwin Meyer. He had 11 kills. He was experienced, skilled, arrogant, and he made one mistake. He underestimated her. They met at 3,000 meters above the Donets River. Meyer dove on her, expecting an easy kill. But Lidya didn't panic. She waited, let him commit. Then, at the last second, she pulled up into a hammerhead stall, a maneuver so precise, so dangerous, that most pilots wouldn't attempt it in combat. Meyer overshot. Lidya flipped her Yak-1 nose down, accelerated, and riddled his Messerschmitt with bullets. He bailed out. She circled once, watching his parachute descend. When he landed behind Soviet lines, he was captured. He demanded to meet the pilot who shot him down. He refused to believe it was a woman. When they brought Lidya to him, tiny, blonde, smiling, he stared in disbelief. "You?" he said in German. "Me," she replied in Russian. He sat down, said nothing, for hours. But war is not just glory. Lidya watched friends die. Katya Budanova, her closest friend, the woman who transferred with her, was shot down and killed in July 1943. Lidya mourned for 3 days. Then she flew again, because there was no choice, no time to grieve, only time to fight. She fell in love with Alexei Solomatin, a fellow fighter pilot. They were engaged. He was shot down in May 1943, killed instantly. She found out 2 hours before a mission. She flew anyway, shot down 2 German bombers, landed, went to her tent, wept, then she flew again. The combat was grinding her down physically, emotionally, psychologically. She developed chronic headaches. Her hands shook. She had nightmares. Always the same dream, falling, burning, screaming. But she kept flying. The Nazis knew about her now. They called her the White Rose of Stalingrad. They offered a reward, 100,000 Reichsmarks for information leading to her death or capture. It was the highest bounty placed on any Soviet pilot. She wore it like a medal. August 1st, 1943. 8:04 a.m. Oral Oblast, Russia. Lidya's last mission. She took off in a formation of 8. Yak-1s. Their objective? Provide air cover for Soviet ground forces attacking near Oral. The weather was poor. Low clouds, scattered rain, limited visibility. Not ideal for flying. Dangerous for combat. At 8:52 a.m., they encountered 8 Messerschmitt Bf 109s. The radio transcripts are fragmentary, chaotic. Someone screamed. Someone called for help. Someone said her name. And then silence. Lidya's plane was last seen diving toward the ground, trailing smoke. Some witnesses said she bailed out. Others said she went down with the plane. No parachute was seen. No wreckage was found. No body was recovered. She was 21 years old. For 30 years, Lydia's mother searched for her. She wrote letters to the Soviet government, to military archives, to veterans organizations. Every letter said the same thing. Please, tell me what happened to my daughter. The responses were always the same. No information available. Because the Soviet Union had a problem, Lydia had disappeared without a trace. No body, no witnesses, no confirmation. And the USSR didn't award Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest military honor, without proof of death. So they pretended she never existed. Her records were classified. Her name was erased from official histories. Her comrades were forbidden from mentioning her. For decades, the White Rose of Stalingrad was a ghost. It wasn't until 1979, 36 years after her death, that a farmer discovered wreckage in a field near Dmitrievka, Oral Oblast. The wreckage matched the description of Lydia's Yak-1. Dental records identified fragments of human remains. It was her. On May 5, 1990, 47 years after her death, Soviet President Mikhail Gorbachev posthumously awarded Lidya Litvyak the title Hero of the Soviet Union. 47 years. Her mother had died 2 years earlier, in 1988. She never saw her daughter honored, never saw her daughter recognized, never got the answer she deserved. Today, Lidya Litvyak remains the highest-scoring female fighter ace in history. Her 12 confirmed kills are more than any other woman has ever achieved in air-to-air combat. She flew 168 sorties. She survived 38 dogfights. She was shot down at least twice and returned both times. She fought alongside men who didn't respect her, against enemies who wanted her dead, for government that tried to erase her. And she did it all before she turned 22. There's a memorial now, near Dmitrievka, where they found her plane. It's small, simple, a white stone marker with her name and dates. Locals call it the White Lily's resting place. Every year on August 1st, veterans and aviation enthusiasts gather there. They lay white roses. White lilies? They tell stories. They remember. Because Lidya Litvyak deserves to be remembered. Not as a symbol, not as a curiosity, not as a woman who could fly, but as one of the greatest combat pilots of World War II. Period. She was 1.52 meters tall. She weighed 45 kilograms. She could barely reach the rudder pedals in her Yak-1 without cushions. And she made the Luftwaffe terrified. That's not inspiration. That's not a feel-good story. That's history. That's fact. That's the truth about a young woman who refused to be invisible, who refused to be dismissed, who took to the sky and proved, again and again and again, that courage has no gender. The White Rose of Stalingrad flew 168 missions. She should have flown thousands more. She should have lived. She should have grown old. She should have had children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren who could say, "My grandmother shot down Nazis." But she didn't get that. She got 21 years, and she used every single one of them to become a legend. If this story moved you, if Lydia's courage inspires you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel, because there are hundreds of stories like this that history tried to bury, and we're bringing every single one of them back into the light. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Do you know any forgotten heroes from your country's history? Share their names, share their stories. Because the only way we honor people like Lydia is by refusing to let them be forgotten. Thank you for keeping her memory alive. The White Rose of Stalingrad flew into the clouds on August 1st, 1943. She never came back. But her story, her courage, her brilliance, her sacrifice, that stays with us forever.